I took a hit of DMT and something was waiting for me. I'd read all the trip reports. I'd watched the Terrence McKenna clips. I thought I knew what to expect. But nothing, and I mean nothing, can prepare you for the real thing. The raw, terrifying beauty of DMT is that it doesn't ask you to come along. It just takes you. It was a quiet Saturday afternoon. I'd cleared my schedule, silenced my phone, and turned my room into what I hoped would be a peaceful setting. Warm lighting, gentle ambient music, a blanket on the floor. I was as ready as I'd ever be. The DMT was from a trusted friend. Orange crystal, freebase, loaded carefully into a glass pipe we called the machine. I had a trip sitter, my friend Liam, who had been through it before. He sat quietly across the room, notebook in hand, just in case I needed help grounding. 3 big hits, he said, and hold them in as long as you can. I nodded, took a deep breath, and began. First hit. Harsh, metallic taste, plastic fire, but not awful. I held it. The carpet started twitching slightly. Colors thickened. My vision vibrated, but I was still here. I exhaled. Everything got a little glossy. Edges were no longer real. I could feel the come-up humming in my bones. "You're good," Liam said gently. "Go again." Second hit. Bigger. I pulled deeper, slower, held it longer. The room folded, like origami. The lights shifted into colors I don't have names for. My arms became weightless. The air got dense like honey. My heart was pounding now. Something was starting. Then, third hit. This one was everything. I filled my lungs until I thought they'd burst. I barely exhaled before breakthrough. It's hard to describe what happened next because language doesn't work in that space. I didn't see the room disappear. The room just wasn't a concept anymore. It collapsed like a flake of ash. I didn't feel like I was on drugs. I felt like I had died. Not metaphorically. Literally. There was a sound, like a cranking engine made of light and metal and intention. And then I was catapulted through myself, through the back of my own mind, through geometry, through color, through existence. I was being dismantled. And then I was there. The waiting room. It wasn't a tunnel. It wasn't a void. It was like a place made of consciousness itself. Everything was made of energy, fluid and living. The walls, if you could call them that, pulsed with breathing fractals. Tiling patterns rearranged themselves infinitely. Colors were singing. Shapes were thinking. And something was there. No, they were there. Entities. Beings. Not aliens, not gods, something else. Something older. They weren't human-shaped, but they weren't terrifying either. Imagine something like a cross between origami, light sculptures, and impossible architecture folded into life. They noticed me immediately. I didn't speak. They didn't either. But I knew. "You made it. We've been expecting you." I felt no fear, just this overwhelming sense of being seen completely. They peeled open parts of my mind I didn't know were closed. They showed me memories I'd buried, emotions I hadn't processed in years. One of them reached into my being and pulled out shame like it was a weed. Another replaced it with laughter. It wasn't just communication. It was surgery. My entire self was laid out like schematics on a light table. They took me apart, not in a cruel way, in a way that felt like love or purpose, like tuning a guitar that had been out of pitch for too long. They were helping me remember. At one point, one of the entities bent close. Its face, if you could call it that, was a shifting mandala of spirals and runes. It said something, not in words, but in meaning. You are not what you think you are. You are so much more, and so much less. I laughed. Or maybe I didn't. My body wasn't there. I had no form, just perspective, just witnessing. And then came the part I didn't expect. They started showing me others. The collective. Behind the beings was a kind of window or maybe a veil. They pulled it aside and I saw everything. People, souls, lights, all connected, all flowing into and through each other. I saw humanity as one single living organism, each of us a node in some cosmic circuit. I saw my mom crying in a kitchen when I was a kid. I saw an ex-girlfriend reading a book I'd recommended and smiling. I saw a dog I hadn't thought about in a decade sprinting through a field of red grass. It wasn't like memories. It was like truth. Like I was remembering things I never knew. Then the perspective zoomed out, way out, until even human wasn't a meaningful word, until time collapsed, until I saw the beginning and end of everything simultaneously. A ripple, a laugh, a loop, and it was all okay. That's what stuck with me more than anything. It was okay. All of it. Re-entry. The beings didn't say goodbye. They just let me go. Like a parent letting go of the bike seat. I felt myself fall backward through the same tunnel of infinite color and code and symbol. My body started forming again. I could feel breath, hands, feet, heartbeat. The room reassembled itself around me, slowly, like a puzzle reforming. The ceiling fan, the blanket, the walls. And then I was back. Liam was still sitting there, watching me, smiling. "Welcome back," he said. I blinked. I had tears on my face. My heart was racing. I felt like I'd been gone forever. I looked around. The room was still buzzing faintly, like the world hadn't quite stopped vibrating. I touched the floor to ground myself. It felt good. Solid. "How long was I out?" I asked. Liam checked his phone. 6 minutes. Aftermath. I didn't speak much for the next hour. I just sat with it, let it ripple through me. There was a lingering sense of awe, but also peace. I didn't feel like I needed to understand everything I saw. I just needed to respect it. Over the next few days, I found myself thinking differently. Less reactive, more open. The things I'd been worrying about, career, reputation, social anxiety, suddenly seemed small. Not meaningless, but definitely less urgent. I started journaling more, listening more, sleeping better, laughing easier. And every now and then, when I close my eyes and breathe deeply, I feel like I can still hear them. "You're not what you think you are. It's okay. We're still here."